I'm Colin Hart. I'm Director of the Christian Institute. Well, the named person proposals gives blanket powers to the government to intervene in family life and to share information that's very private to families and information about children. And that's very concerning. It's really taking over the role of parents. Well, of course, it's quite right that the government should have powers to intervene where children are at significant risk of harm. But the problem with the named person legislation is that it's really geared at the 95% of families where that isn't the case. And so parents could have their children spoken to by a government official, by a head teacher, or by a health visitor, and the child could be told things that the parents don't agree with, and they wouldn't have any right to object, and the consent would not be necessary for that to take place. So it's really overriding the role of parents, and that's a huge power which could be very easily abused, and there aren't the safeguards in the plans that we would expect. If parents have certain beliefs about well, maybe their religious beliefs or maybe ethical beliefs or maybe even political beliefs, they have the right to have those beliefs, and the children shouldn't be discriminated against or criticised by somebody else because of their beliefs of their parents. I think it's clear that the named persons proposals don't comply with the Convention on Human Rights because they do intervene with the right to private family life. And it's for parents to bring up their children and not the state. The state does and should have the right to intervene in cases where children are at significant risk of harm, but not in other cases. The problem of the bill is that the definition of well-being is so wide that it covers all of a child's life. Practically every activity that a child gets involved in could be considered to be well-being. So the state can advise and give and say what it thinks on a whole range of matters, which it shouldn't really be poking its nose into. My greatest fear about the named person proposal is that parents will be afraid to pass on their values and their concerns to their children because they will be undermined by the state. The state is not a good parent. We only have to see about the huge scandals of children who have been abused whilst in care. It's a situation of last resort. That's the way it should be. Children who are at significant risk of harm should be protected. The resources should be concentrated on them and not depleted by spreading across of all families that really do not need that sort of help. I think children are going to be very puzzled by relating to their named person. I think they're going to be very surprised, and it may well be that in most cases they hardly ever speak to the named person. But the problem is the potential for abuse and the potential for things to go seriously, dangerously wrong, and it could end up doing more harm than good. I hope that as a result of the judicial review and the campaign, that the proposals will not go forward in their current form. There needs to be safeguards, there needs to be protections for families, and that's what we want to see.